Good afternoon and welcome to another a special edition of the Wolf Den. Today we're going to have an open to work webinar and assist people who are looking for jobs. And I guess it's as simple as that. I'm Matt Wolf. I'm the founder of Ticket Time Machine. We got a great panel today and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, Barry?
Hey everybody, Barry Kleiman out here in Northern California. I'm a veteran of only 50 years in executive search. I've written a couple books on the job search process, and Matt and I know each other from 100 different ways, although we've never shaken hands. And I'm really happy to meet Dan and Melissa here for the first time. And all of us, I think, are here to try to do whatever we can to help all of you move the needle on your search.
Great. Dan?
Hello, I'm Dan Shupton. I'm here in the suburbs of Chicago. I run two companies. One is Shuff 10, which is a collective of agencies and vendors that helps connect brands, agencies, and vendors together for partnerships and projects. And then in my spare time, I do a little thing called the Shufton Job Report, which I believe to be the biggest curated collection of jobs on LinkedIn. I've done about 180 something of them. Takes forever, but it's 200 plus roles all across marketing, PR, communications, HR. And then that's sent out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, I have a feature called Candidates in the Crowd, where I feature and spotlight two people looking for roles and try to get them in front of my many thousands of subscribers.
So we're going to do a list of people that actually do similar stuff, but Dan is top of the list on someone you need to follow. Get that jobs report. Send information. We'll talk more a little bit later about the candidates in the crowd, but it's great stuff. Melissa?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Matt. So nice to meet you and Barry and Dan, and three examples of people using their gifts and talents to make the world a better place. I am Melissa Shaheen. I am currently sitting in my beach house in North Topsail Island, North Carolina. I've been at McKinney for 28 years. I'm the director of recruiting, and I love nothing more than helping people connect to opportunities. So I'm glad to be part of the conversation today.
Great. I'm in South Florida. I forgot to say where I'm from. The first thing I want to say, and I'm sure it applies to all of us, is that although Melissa is a professional, but these are all our opinions and our opinions only. And, take the time to research and do some due diligence on yourself. I don't want anyone coming after and say, well, you said this and you said that. We're trying to help people. These are our opinions, and that's what they are, their opinions. But I think we have a good enough panel here that they're strong opinions, but they are what they are. So it's a pretty loose schedule what we're going to do here. I have some slides that I'm going to share, and throughout the program, if you're in the crowd, put questions in the comments. We're going to answer any questions that you guys might have. And if you're hiring for something, definitely put that in the comments so we can highlight that and bring it to attention. And if you would like, put your name, where you're at, and what you're looking for in the comments, and we can bring it up on screen. It will look similar to this. So it will come up on the screen, whether it's a question or whether it's just your name and what you're looking for. So it would be put your name, where you're at with location, and then what you're looking for, and we'll share it. So these are just some slides I had done before. I'd love to get some opinions from the panel. 5 things to do right now. The first thing I would say is add the open to work banner. You can really create any type of banner you want. It's very easy to just click on theirs, which is the green banner. You hear some stuff out there saying, they don't want to do it. It's desperate, whatever. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I love it. I mean, I'll just jump in and say I love open to work. I love any job posting I put up has hashtag gig alert. And, it helps me as a recruiter, looking for people, because if I see they're posting and they're open to work, I might know somebody who I can connect them with and tag somebody in that. So I know that there are varying opinions from recruiters. I'd be curious to see what Barry thinks about that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a whole new world, a whole new world. You know, like
Yeah.
20 years ago, you
Mhm.
stayed in a job forever, right? But this is a
Mhm.
gig economy and people move around and the economy shifts. So there's no shame in being open to work. We should all just help each other and we should just eliminate that stigma completely.
Can you think of a negative thing? I mean, does someone say you're like someone wouldn't hire you because you have that? I would think it just makes it easier to identify. It seems
I
weird to me.
I think, again, I'm expressing my opinion about how I like to work. I know there are definitely people who like to recruit people with a pedigree who they have to go steal. And if you put open to work, clearly you're not stealing them.
Right.
But I mean, my opinion is like, let's live in authenticity and transparency. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Barry, what do you think?
I couldn't agree any more about authenticity and transparency. It's actually the title of my book. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you ask 1,000 people, you'll get a lot of different opinions. But to me, I taught a workshop, Matt, down at Donna's place at her Generation W event. A LinkedIn workshop, and I said, you either stand out or blend in. And to me, having a hashtag open to work is you're trying to stand out, let people know. But I think the only thing I would add is beyond your open to work, then when somebody clicks on your profile, what can you then tell them about you that might grab them early, right? So as opposed to just putting this brand. So I agree, Melissa, but I'm kind of a yes and person.
Yes, and
Like,
yeah.
what do you do from there? So anyway,
Yeah,
that's what I think.
there is a lot of spam. We get that. I'm sure, Dan, you can talk to that in your jobs report, and I get it in the group. I think it just comes with the territory. There's going to probably be more good than bad, and it shouldn't be that hard to weed out. What do you think?
Dan is so great at posting content that is engaging. So let's just say that Dan was posting open to work. He engages with his audience and he's come up with this, what I think is the magic formula for the algorithm of how to engage with your users, because he posts content that has an opinion and is relevant. And then he posts content that's also personal. So it draws you in. So I would say if you're somebody who is seeking employment, your brand is being represented on LinkedIn. So, yes, and I see Barry nodding. Yes, and so
Yeah.
all of those things on the slide,
Mhm.
that you have up there, plus and build your brand. I tend to, if people make epic posts on LinkedIn, I tend to engage with them. I'm a serial LinkedIn person, like way more than any other social media platform. And I love to tag people in other people's posts. And if it's epic, I'm going to go find them and, meet them. Even if I don't have a job for them, I certainly can connect them to somebody who can help them,
I'm iffy on the green banner, but I'm also not recruiting. Only because through the peripheral, if it says you're still working, I'm assuming you're still working. And it's almost like that's a surprise. I mean, I've had thousands of people who have come and I'm like, oh, they're happily employed. All of a sudden you're like, oh. My belief though, in general, and thank you, Melissa, for the kind words, and the algorithm has been friendly to me for now, is look, LinkedIn is the world's largest cocktail party. It's very simple. It's very, very easy. There's no reason why you should not be your own brand. You're not pitching a product. You're not pitching a trinket. It's yourself. If you can't talk about yourself in a positive way, you're in a big, big amount of trouble. So the thing about it is you're able to connect to people in a pretty politically savvy environment. I mean, there's some goofy platforms out there. But you have free reign to be a subject matter expert in basically anything you want and find the people you want to get to. And there's tactics you can do and there's things you can definitely accomplish, but you have to put the effort into it. I mean, comments are key, getting opinions are key. Following is key. Like I'm a salesperson for 20 something years. Like I do not connect with someone and then blast them with a note right away. I give them at least 48 to 72 hours. And it's a friendly, like, you're about to get a message type thing because it's bait and switch type atmosphere. Post your content, because the world of social and the world of virality, I mean, we've seen this on all of our platforms. You never know what's going to click, and you never
No
know who's
idea.
reading. I can't tell you the amount of people and places. My candidate in the crowd today, I met coaching my kid's soccer match last weekend. I've gone into holiday parties. I've gone into corporate events. I've gone into restaurants, and they're like, "Oh, you're that Shufton guy. Yeah, I read your report." And they're happily employed. And they're passing it around from person to person to person. I mean, everybody's on the search, like Melissa said. Everybody's looking. No one's ever satisfied. We're a jumptastic kind of world. But in terms of LinkedIn, please post content. Someone will read it. And if they read it and they enjoy it, they'll keep coming back.
So we got a question here from Melissa, but
Yeah.
The downside of being your own brand is that it makes us salespeople. That's true, but as Dan said, you don't really have to be good at sales to be good at selling yourself. There's a big difference to that, and it's and
100%.
Barry and talking about being authentic and vulnerable and transparent. That's all you really need to do about yourself. There was a question for Melissa, and I think you answered it in the private chat, but she wanted to know about bullet points to promote accomplishments under the role.
Yeah, I don't get tired of seeing stuff. Thanks for the question. I'm just insatiably curious about people, and I just want to know more. So when I see those, and I'm too old to come up with the little emojis everybody puts on them. Like I just write content and put a picture. You know what I mean? But I just love the like people with little flourishes and palm trees and little things, and that's interesting to me, right? So am I going to read a manifesto? I don't know if it's that good, probably, but am I going to absorb, as I'm scrolling through 4 to 6 bullet points? Yeah. I was going to say, Matt, if anybody follows Cindy Gallup, she's, the incredible grande dame of advertising and marketing and everything else. And I met with a recruiting firm, and I said to the recruiting firm, "How did you get to me?" And they said, Cindy Gallup. And I was like, wow, she's connected to everybody. So, what we're all saying about brand and content is just, critical to your brand. And back to the point about sales, being a salesperson, I think we just all have to be our own people. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts. And my daughter says there's something called an ambivert, right? So you learn all kinds of things. So I just think you have to be yourself. And if you're not somebody if you're somebody who's private, then maybe you make an epic post that just says, "This is really hard for me because I'm a private person." Is that going to pull me in? Yeah, absolutely. Because you're being authentic and vulnerable.
Yeah. A couple other things just on your profile. Headline should indicate what you're looking for. When you post and you like and you click on anything, just on any content that's there, all people see is your name. And I don't know, it's like 140 characters, whatever that is. Come up with something that people can just look at and say, "Oh, that person is interested in this." And so they don't have to actually click on your profile to find out what you're interested in. And that could intrigue them to go ahead and click on there. What Dan said, brag, talk about yourself.
It's
true.
It doesn't have to be. To that point, and I appreciate the comment, it's nothing to do with selling. It could be about anything. I mean, everybody's in a different industry. You have a POV, bring your POV to the equation. It has nothing to do with selling. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you're always selling. Everybody's selling something, but again, to differentiate yourself from the crowd, you got to have an opinion on something. And it doesn't mean getting on camera and dancing and singing and jumping around. And it doesn't mean that.
Although you could. You
could.
And you can sing like Melissa, you should.
I might do it again. Careful.
There's nothing wrong with using your hands, typing your POV, typing your content, and moving into comments that you see interesting and giving your opinion. In the grand scheme of things, if you're looking for a job, you're selling yourself. You have to. Jobs just don't, especially in these days, are not just going to show up in your lap. You've got to push harder, work harder, talk to more people, network with even more people, put yourself out there. And I know it's hard. There's people who are absolutely frightened to put themselves out there. But at the end of the day, you have to appreciate, you have to support the fact that there are good people in this world who do want to help. Yes, there are some who want nothing to do with you. Shame on them. But There are plenty of people who come from the most unexpected corners of your world who will be there to help you. And I say the easiest way to find a job will be that secondary or tertiary connection. It won't be that primary person. It won't be Uncle Bob. It won't be your neighbor. It won't be mom or dad. It'll be someone they connected to you, who connected you and heard your story. That's how you get a job these days. It's there's no point click success anymore.
Yeah, you got to get outside your comfort zone for sure. And ask for the job. I say ask for the job you want and ask for the help you need.
Not be
And this
siloed.
kinda
I know a
speaks
lot
to
of
what
us.
you're talking about. I mean, you got to put out there. People, they'll see it, and we'll talk about how you can help. It's just one click could mean everything, and it's just the fact that you decided to click support on someone's and they saw your headline, or you decided to comment on something, and then it sort of got a conversation going. You get a chance to really show who you are, and someone can see who you are in the comments. And so this is someone I'd like to hire, at least to get to know more information about. So some good tips here. Hashtags, you said gig alert. That sounds like a pretty good one. Open to work, job alerts. If there's anything else that people are having success with in the comments, definitely share that. The second thing I did is things to help job seekers. And I think even if you're looking for work, you can do it. There's a lot of people who are posting jobs are actually looking for work themselves. And I think helping others to find work, even if you're the one looking for work, is beneficial for them. It could end up being beneficial for you. Extremely easy to do. All you got to do is click a button, like, comment, share job postings. Anytime you see someone with an open to work who's saying what they want, don't pass by without clicking on it. Connect with the people who are open to work and the people who are sharing jobs. If you see a job that you think would be great for someone, tag them in that or send that job to them. Again, it's all about engagement. So engage with the people looking for work, give them positive messages and helpful tips. If you've seen something that was helpful for you, maybe post that in a comment or create your post. And the last thing for me is that maybe the biggest thing is just help as much as you can. You just never know if you're going to be the one at some point looking for help. And all it takes is one click. Hey, did I miss anything on this?
No, I think the universe is a giant mirror and it reflects back on you. So it has no choice but to send everything back that you give to it. And I've had such an incredible life, and the circle keeps going. And I see that oftentimes, because I try and talk to somewhere between 8 and 14 people a day. So about 50 people a week, maybe 2,000 people a year. And I am the subject matter expert when it comes to salary, location, what people are looking for. And, as somebody who has the privilege to stand with people in really vulnerable, tough times in their life, if I can't hire them, I may know somebody who can hire them. Back to your point, Matt, right? That tertiary, like my Uncle Bob might be looking for somebody. And, my specific vertical is marketing and advertising, right? Production. That's my world. But I know a lot of people in lots of other words, finance and pharmaceuticals. And so you just never know, right? I just think it's really important, all the things that you've laid out, as people are looking. My mom used to say, she's almost 90. She still says it. She says, God always comes through at the 11th hour. Could he make it the 8th or the 9th hour? And I tell people when I'm sitting with them in vulnerability and they're crying over a job, I just say, you know what? The right role is not for you yet. So hold on to faith, keep talking to people, keep asking, and the right role will come. It wasn't available for you when you wanted it and you thought you wanted it, but that wasn't the right role for you. So if that gives anybody any sort of hope, I've seen it work countless times in my line of work. And, I make space for everybody where I can, for sure.
Yeah, the 6 degrees, it can get to that 4th, 5th, or 6th so easily with social media and definitely with LinkedIn and the algorithms. That's why I just say get click happy. I'll be honest, I used to not click as much because I didn't want my timeline flooded with things. And selfish, yes, but now LinkedIn has done a great thing. You could actually just see my posts and you can see my reaction. So you can just click away all day long. And it's not going to affect what your feed looks like to people when they go and they can see your posts very easily. Some more tips. This is one thing that I love your guys' opinions on it. I asked someone, hey, what's your ideal job? I would say 9 out of 10 can't tell me. And I don't know if it's because they don't think about it or it's because they don't want to like pigeon themselves into something and they want it to be so generic. But the best way to help other people help you is to really say, hey, I'd love to work for the Yankees. I want to be the social media manager for an entertainment company. And that, because when I see it coming through my feed, I'm going to write your name or send it over to you. I think that's something that a lot of people fail to do.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And when people come to me, most of the time they are applying for a job. They know what they're applying for. But sometimes I get people who just want to get in the door, and that's okay too. They're kind of figuring out where they want to be. I would say, back to Dan's point on having a strong point of view, those are the things I'm looking for when somebody's applying for a job. And please, if I could, Barry, I know you'll back me up on this. If I can make a desperate plea to all people everywhere, please don't apply for a job when you don't have the credentials. You know what I mean? Like, if you meet 80 out of the 100, let's say there are 100 bullet points, I'm making something up. If you meet 80%, okay, I'm willing to take a chance on you. But if you literally are applying for a role, in account management, and it requires 5 to 7 year experience, and you've never done account management, but you think it sounds like fun, please don't apply. It's just, find something that suits your skills better,
But that's also what makes people so stressed is, it's this, this mentality of point click and this weight, this algorithm, this AI going through your resume and the unknown of what picks it up and what doesn't pick it up. And
we don't do that. It's me.
I didn't say you did. I'm just
I am
saying
the
something.
AI. I am the AI.
Oh, I know you are. You are.
Yeah.
Your colleagues have said as such. But that's the thing. If you sit there, applying to jobs in general, like I say that applying to jobs is it's physical, it's mental. You need to step away from the burden that comes with it. You got to keep your mind as healthy as possible and reach out to, and that's the thing. Even if you can't help the person with the job, try at least to communicate with them. Try to release some of the tension and stress they're having. Just talk to them because they really just need a friend at this point. It's a very lonely, and I had 17 months in my life once looking. It is a terrible, horrible process. If you can't do anything, if you don't know a job, reach out to your friends, check in on them. It's a 5-second conversation. How are you doing? Great. How can I help you? Every conversation I've had picked up this year, I try to ask, how can I help you? It's a very easy question, and they'll give you a response. At least try. At least try. Also, keep yourself physical. Try a walk. Get out of the burden, your loneliness of your room, your office. Go take a walk, or it'll happen eventually. I mean, jobs will happen. I know sometimes it takes an extended amount of time, but you got to believe it's going to happen. Like Melissa's mom says, it's gonna. I didn't hear her verbatim, but it's gonna happen eventually.
Yep.
And but keep yourself as healthy physically, mentally, psychologically, sociologically. Do everything you can. Get off LinkedIn, which is we're talking about LinkedIn. Get off it because it's going to give you the anxiety, like seeing people in the stretch of talking about jobs and roles. Like, limit yourself. Keep it like you have a job. Create a schedule for yourself like you would be. Dress like you're going to work. I say this wearing a decent shirt and wearing like sweatpants.
T-shirts.
I'm in a football jersey, but it's my company jersey. So it's fine.
I think you're looking, you're like, yeah. That's how I get it. I went through the same. It's one of the reasons why, I wrote the job report because I was openly looking for a job. I mean, that's how I started it.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of people who, I've been so inspired by you and all the other people who take the time to do that.
Yep.
And Andrea is another one, and we're going to get to this. She says commsjobs.com.
Yeah, Andrea's.
I reached out to Andrea to join the panel, but she was unavailable. But good to see her in the crowd. but that's a good one. I'll speak for myself. Someone had asked if they could connect. Anyone here can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy
Oh,
to
of course. Yeah, Lori.
but
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
assume, if not, at
Can I
least
make-
follow. I don't know what you're up to with connections or not, but at least follow and reach out. We'll give some contact information at the end of this. This is an interesting topic. A teacher wanting to transition to a new
Yeah.
career. My opinion is, share your strengths. There's got to be transferable skills there somewhere. And so I'll disagree a little bit with Melissa and say not at the 80%. And maybe Dan sort of was speaking to this. Apply for a job. Obviously, if you're missing the most important thing that they're looking for, that you can't go on, and it's the learning curve is too much, then I would say no. But you have being a teacher, you got a ton of transferable skills. I would say share them and do something to stand out, like number 2 here.
Yeah, teacher is a good one because I have a daughter who is retired after 5 years of teaching and trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. So we spend a lot of time talking, workshopping what it is. And teachers are project managers. They are mentors. They're coaches. They have so many skills. Project management is something I found really great. And there are so many certificate courses out there that you can take that are that have a minimal cost. Oh gosh, I want to address this email this context because I think it's really important. Getting from one career to another, that's where LinkedIn can really be helpful. Open to work and maybe a picture of you in your teaching outfit with an apple saying that, here's where I am, here's where I want to go. But you kind of have to have an idea about where it is you want to go. And just talk to people who has made successful transitions. I think that also speaks, Matt, to your point about the gap, right? So stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads. I talk to a lot of people who've taken gaps in their lives or taken care of ill or sick, or dying people. Those are really raw times in people's life, good and bad. And, my role is to even the playing field from a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And I love that that person in the audience who wants to be CEO of a company that features that. I love that. I started my career in the all straight white boys club of Madison Avenue in 1988, and I'm the old straight white person who is in charge of, making sure that the playing field is evened. That I present a diverse slate of candidates who are, of every color, every race, every nationality, every geography, every age, and take all the other stuff out of it, the noise, and prevent people on the hiring panel from discriminating against them because of those factors. Because diversity makes all of us better. It's what inspires great creative work, and it's really critical. So some hope for people who are seasoned, and it shouldn't discourage the people who are young, because we need players and coaches. We need people across the spectrum. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, back to the thing about, yes, feel free to link in with me. I have to be honest. I get 300 unsolicited messages every week, and I try and answer them. And I think I'm 500 behind on catching up on my contacts, but I am always happy to do it. It has to be nights and weekends and whenever I've got a minute.
Talk about overqualified. We had some comments in there about people saying they're overqualified or
I won't allow that to happen. I have to say I am unusual in that I will not put people in buckets. I won't put them in silos. And I will get that pushback from hiring managers saying they're too overqualified or they're too expensive. I get in front of that train and I'll reach out to people and say, hey, this is an account supervisor role, but you were an account director. Can we have a chat about it? And we get on the phone, and it turns out they don't like to manage at that level. They miss being in the soup. And so then I've got it ready to present to my hiring manager when they push back and say overqualified. I go, well, actually, I've had a call with them, and this is the reason. They go, oh. So I would say, I don't know if you've got a slide about engaging cover letters, because that for me is a draw, like a fun fact. Like I was on season 1 of The Weakest Link. So if you were on a game show, I'm definitely going to talk to you. If you don't have any skills. Somebody posted that they were born to a standing ovation. She's a creative director. And I was like, I got to meet this person. Like I literally had to meet this person. It was on a resume. We had a great chat. So you never know what's going to jump out to somebody, but make yourself stand out.
Stand out is I have a
Yeah.
friend, Matt Taylor, that I don't know. I think everyone, Dan, I think you might have highlighted him before. Just really great content. And he did some wrestling videos where obviously he got out of his comfort zone. And there was a lady who went viral for creating a song about that she was unemployed. I just think it's you have to do something to stand out to get noticed. And then, at some point it's a crapshoot. I know it may be negative to say it. You're looking at 1% of people who apply for the job are going to get it. So it's very tough out there, but there is a fit for you. And the more that you put out there and the more that you share and content and get yourself noticed, I think the better chance that you'll have.
Yeah. Matt, I want to jump in real quick.
Go ahead, Barry.
Go ahead. Anyway, I want to wrap up a little bit what everybody has said. I agree with Matt 100%. If you can't talk about what it is you're trying to do, what sort of work or company or career or path you're on, then no one's going to listen to you. And if you do that, then what Dan is telling you and Melissa is telling you is easier. It's much easier to stand out if you know what the F it is you want to stand out and talk about and how you want to message online. And then you create the algorithm. You start to talk about what it is you're looking for, the types of companies and why, and the sorts of jobs and the sorts of industries and why. But you'll only be able to do that authentically, right? Back to Melissa's comment, if you know what it is in the first place, then you can speak to it deeply. Get Matt on a roll about University of Florida sports. You'll never shut him up. Right? Because he's so engaged in it, right? And we all have things that we are. And if once you can identify what they are and then get to talk about them, to Dan's point, if you're stand out and talk about what it is you want to talk about, add value, how I would add value in this job. I read this article the other day, comment to a post that you see somebody else wrote, but gee, that's great perspective, Barry. I don't know if you ever saw this article about this or whatever, and make your comments valuable, add value, but you're only going to be able to do it authentically, to re-roll to Matt's point, is if you know what it is you're really trying to accomplish. So stop trying to be all over the place and take a stand. Dan said it. I don't know if you said it exactly this way, Dan, but you kind of draw a line in the sand about what it is you're for and what it is you're against. And you'll find people that are for you, and against you. And you're just looking for one who's for you, right? But do it authentically, back to Matt's point, and I'll shut up now.
Yeah,
I don't think I mean,
just saying like congrats or that this is great. You need to do a little bit more.
Yeah, that's weird.
It'll get your thing shared, but so don't do something a little bit different than what other people are. Dan,
to go back to I always say that I compare job searching to selling. Again, this was a
no doubt
20 minutes ago, but personalization is not selling. What you just said is literally everybody's world is out there. Do the research, Google their name, figure out where they went to school, figure out something that'll get the attention and get in the door. It's not 1% who gets the role. It's 1% who gets the interview at this point. So what you need to do is literally go out there and find something that'll cut through the thousands of messages that Melissa's getting. I'm not even a recruiter. I'm getting thousands and thousands. I can't do anything for people besides feature them. And to get my attention, I can only imagine what you need to do to get Melissa's attention. I sent my high school tennis racket to a sports company with my cover letter and my resume in the tennis bag. I shipped it. This is like mid 2000s.
What kind of racket was that, Dan?
It was a Wilson.
Okay.
And I forget because I never got it back. So I now do not have a tennis racket or a bag, but it did get me an interview.
Exactly.
That is 1 in 1,000. I also followed up all the time. Another point, if you just send one email or note to a recruiter or someone in your network and they don't get back to you, it does not mean they don't have the time or they don't want to help you.
Dan, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yes. It means they're incredibly busy, or And I'm at fault in this as a pushy, sometimes overly pushy, but I have to be. You don't know what the other person on the other end is going through. You have no idea. So do not get discouraged if they don't get back to you. Do not push. Do not get offended. Be open to having 3 to 5 days that conversation. Try to use a little humor. I always like to say, throw a little emoji in there.
I send Mr. Bean waiting on the side of the road waving to someone.
That's good. See, now that'll get my attention.
Yeah.
Barry, the value add is spot on, because my job is not to hire or to present culture fit candidates. My job is to present value add candidates. So what are you bringing? And Dan, you're spot on with that. And I would add to, because I do get more than 300 unsolicited LinkedIn, and I put my email out all the time. I am open. I will literally answer anybody if I can. And sometimes I just forget. I appreciate a second email. So a piece about, let's just say we've gotten now to the point of you've applied, and it's the worst thing, just waiting to hear somebody, put that up there. I know it's just awful, because my kids, my youngest ones are 21 and they're juniors, and they've been applying like crazy for internships. And it's just awful when you're waiting. You don't know if somebody, like, have they looked at your resume? Are they going to look at, are they going to talk to you? So I've just gone through this in real time with my kids, and I have vetted just about every ATS and every AI thing that comes on. I have yet to find an AI that I believe erases unconscious bias. So I'm not ready to use them yet, but it's me going through resumes, right? And sometimes I'll reject people and they'll respond back saying, thank you so much for that. Would you be willing to hop on the phone to talk me through that? Every time I do, 100%, even if I don't have any time, I'm going to do that. And sometimes I made a mistake. Sometimes I find out that in the rejection, I made a mistake, or sometimes I can connect them to other people. So I would say, once you've submitted and you just want to know because you haven't heard, because it's been a week, go ahead and find them on LinkedIn and send them a note. Like I get lots of those, and sometimes I can answer and sometimes I don't, but I always appreciate people who come in on the back end, they LinkedIn me and they email me. I know they want the job. That's great. Then they interview, they'll send me an email follow-up. I know they want the job. LinkedIn, I know they want the job.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people I want to hire, people who want the job.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about being overly aggressive in terms of presenting yourself, because
being respectful. I mean, it's obviously be respectful of people. And like Dan said, you never know what someone's going through. We had a question about resume and stuff. I want to get to that.
Yep.
This sort of speaks to your LinkedIn and your resume. I don't know why, but for some reason, LinkedIn needs you and wants you to get to 500 connections. That way you're not showing publicly. Everyone at 500 above says the same. People, they think if you don't have 500, if you're lingering around 100 or 200, that you're not really that active. So I don't know, take it for what it's worth, but you should get yourself to 5. If you're going to use LinkedIn, you should have 500 connections anyway. I saw this the other day. I saw someone who's open to work and it wouldn't let me message them. Keep your messages open. It feels like common sense. You might not even know it's like that, but keep your messages on. Yeah, maybe you'll get spam and hit up by stuff, but you don't want to miss an important message that you might get. Make it easy for people to connect. It's possible for you to put connect when they first get on your thing instead of having to click buttons to connect. I think that for me is useful. Instead of just clicking follow, if you want to connect with them and not just follow. And Facebook and your phone. I was talking to my friend who I could have sworn I was connected on LinkedIn, but wasn't. So maybe check some things and just see if you're actually connected with some of the people that you should be connected with, and that it could be beneficial for and the gap. So let's talk about resume. I know someone had a question for Melissa about sending a recommendation. What are your thoughts on sending a recommendation versus a custom cover letter? But want to hear your guys' opinions on resume and the gap year or 2 years or 6 months or whatever.
Again, back to the cover letter. Cover letters to me are gold. I love reading them. I catch my attention in the very first, thing. I was born standing up, or everybody loves to talk about themselves. Like, I live my life on LinkedIn. If people say something nice, I'm probably going to read that letter. You know what I mean? Like, go stalk people. You know what I mean? Like, customize it. Don't just send out like mass, letters, make them be customizable, make me know you know me and you want that job and why you want that job and why you're a perfect fit for that job. In terms of the resume, again, people are really funny about gap time. So, but I talk to people all the time, every day, who have that. And so all you have to do is put an explanation. And most people, this is advertising. So people get laid off many times in their life in advertising. I mean, like when I talk to people in their 30s who are just getting laid off for the first time, I go, really? Are you sure you're in advertising? Because most people have been laid off 3 or 5 times by then. So that is not at all unusual in our industry. So I just prefer when people put, laid off, downsized, lost client, just so I can. Now, if you've got 2 years that's missing, well, it could have been 2008, 2012, could have been, 2020, it could have been anything, right? So just have that explained. And then what you're doing right now, Hi.
I'm such a huge proponent of cover letters, Melissa. We must meet.
We must meet.
I'm such a huge proponent because, again, I'll go back to what Dan said. It's one more way to tell a story, right? One more way to stand out. One more way to bring your message into the world. And honestly, in this book I wrote, I have cover letters before and resumes in the sequence of the book. Because, it's like, I like to say facts tell, but stories sell. Your cover letter is a story. Your resume is a recapitulation of certain facts. But to Melissa's point, you get a chance to be you in your cover letter that supersedes dates and bullet points and so forth and so on. So I'm a huge proponent of being able to tell your story in as many ways as possible.
Here we get to some good stuff here. I compiled a list of people who are posting jobs often. We got Dan here at the top. Give him a few minutes to talk about the job report and how people can connect. And one thing, I have a group called Open to Work and Looking. Some of you guys might already be in it. I'd encourage you to join that. We post jobs. We share these people's posts. We share other types of resources. But we also want to hear from you, the job seeker, as to what we can do that would be helpful for you. What type of content can we give and post in there that would be helpful to you? So here's a ton of people who are jobs. This is on replay. I'm going to post this for anyone who wants it, and possibly tag them. And Dan, talk a little bit about what you're doing.
I'm currently about to put in the private chat a link to.
It's got to go in the regular chat, I think, because
okay. Well, hold on a second.
Yeah, all your comments in the private chat has just come to me. I've tried to talk about it, but
I am going
private chat. Oh shucks. Okay.
Comments.
It's official. I'm old.
So there's a lot of other
I
people that I don't even
Barry.
have on. A lot of people I don't have on this list. So if there's someone that you're following that's sharing jobs, post it here. Send us a note. I'll add it to this list. But these people are. I mean, I'm so inspired by the people. It's why I've done what I've done. I did some highlighting posts. I started the group. It's all because of these people. I see what these people are doing, and I'm thinking, well, let me try and see what I can do to help.
Can you transfer it over? I can't get into the regular one. I don't know.
Can I do that? I don't know if I could put in the.
I'm gonna put in the private chat. So I'm putting the private chat to get. I feature. The job report is 200 curated jobs Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Most, I won't tell you my secrets. A lot of them over the over the months have come from people in my network. Makes it a lot easier. But it's literally jobs that are all verified. So it's like, I try to make sure it's not these spammy, weird companies. I've been selling and marketing advertising for 20 years. So I pretty much have heard of everything these days. Candidates in the crowd is picked off the sheet that it gets into the comments. It gets in the comments. But I meticulously randomly pick people and I feature them Tuesday and Thursday. There is going to, thank you. There is going to be a dedication to getting it and doing it more. It's just, I am super, super slammed and it takes a long time. But it's been about, oh geez, 70 to 90 candidates at this point. Many of them have gotten some really cool opportunities and conversations out of it. A few have gotten hired off of it. And I think, frankly speaking, it really helps it kind of boosts them in the right direction to get going and start searching. It gets you featured, gets you a little bit of the chutzpah. And yeah, I mean, go ahead, put your name on the list. I'll reach out to you on LinkedIn, and I ask for 4 things. It's very simple. What have you done? What do you want to do? Who are you? And give me a fun fact, like we've been talking about, that personalizes you. I do a little creative writing in my warped brain, and there we go. So that's the trade secrets. So
Good. That's awesome stuff. So follow Dan, get the jobs report, check up onto the candidates in the crowd as well. So Dan, just to be clear, Dan doesn't hire anyone.
I don't hire anybody.
He posts jobs that are available for you to apply to, and he shares profiles of people who are looking. You can join the Open to Work group. It's on my profile. If you just search Open to Work and looking, I can maybe put that in the.
Put that in the chat, Matt.
Yeah, I think I did. Although now it might have gone to the YouTube. Might have gone to the YouTube version instead. So let me see what we can do here.
Even in that group, everybody, as Matt's looking for it, try to add value even inside that group. Everybody in there is in a similar boat, right? And see if you can, find my profile or, Melissa's profile, whatever. And, Melissa's kids are looking for internships. Maybe you've heard of one that has nothing to do with you, right? And you can't use it at all. But at the same time, write to Melissa and say, hey, I heard about this internship. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But get used to, I'm a basketball coach, right? Get used to sharing the ball. Get used to, moving around and helping people. Just get used to it, and becomes easier over time. Anyway, so in the group, it's a little safer place, right? Because they've already been curated by Matt and myself to some extent. This group we're doing our best to do that. Yeah.
That might be the Open to Work group that Christian posted. Thank you. And this is a comment. My comment on here is for Dan's candidates in the crowd. And we're going to have all this stuff in a place where it's easily clickable. I know that we pull this up. It doesn't seem to be that clear here. Yeah, I think look, we're gonna give you guys as many resources as we can. Dan's Jobs is another. This list of people, I mean, I'm talking about 20 jobs every week, sometimes twice a week that people are posting. So share other people who are doing it. I don't know what you can do about ghosting. Wait till you get a job. You continue to get ghosting. It's a huge problem. I think you could just be pleasantly persistent. Don't take silence as a no. As we've all said, you just don't know how busy someone is, or maybe they didn't see it. So a second email or message could give a push, to get to. I know it's happened with me. I mean,
ghosting's universal.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's everywhere. It's terrible. It's really. I wrote an article.
It's not on purpose. It's not on purpose.
I think some people. I think there's a difference, because there are people who are so busy, and there are people who, there's stuff, but there are people who just don't have the common courtesy to reply. There are, right? So I take everything personally. I'm not the right person to talk about this, but you got to try and not take it personally, but you got to just understand that there might be something going on there, and but keep being persistent. But never take silence for a no. That's my sales advice, but that's advice in life. You just they might not have seen it, but we get a ton of messages. But if I see your name again, it'll probably ring a bell to me, and you'll be closer to getting a reply. Now, that's not to say keep sending a second message like the next day, but it's just the idea. Amy, on the list. Posted some great jobs today in the open
Great.
to work.
Great.
Open to work. And a lot of these people all know each other, so it's like when you post, you're tagging or showing other people who are doing stuff.
I would like to say, sorry, Matt, I just
go
want to say
ahead.
one more thing that, I've been incredibly fortunate to have sat in this seat and to have worked at a brand like McKinney for 28 years. I mean, it doesn't happen in life, and I don't take it for granted. So I try and use whatever I have to help other people. I think the important thing for all of us is that everybody who's listening here, your life has value. It has meaning. It's important. And I know you just want a job to pay the BILLSs, like that's important. But more important is that people hire you for who you are authentically. Role mismatches are bad ideas from the start. So you want people who want all of you, not just the shiny parts, but the real, raw, authentic parts. I like to say McKinney's the place to be in the best of times, the worst of times, and all the time. So go to the place that wants all of you, that provides you not just with a paycheck, but with satisfaction and a clear path forward, learning and development, all of the things that make you more fully human and able to show back up with just as much vigor on Monday morning as when you left on Friday night, So look for those companies and cultures. I will tell you, my kids, when they were interviewing, they would come off and they would say, "Mommy, I just had the driest interview." And I said, "Good, listen, you don't want that job, because they're letting somebody out there representing their culture, and that is not what you want to be." And then, counter to that, they'd come off and they'd say, "Mommy, I just had the best interview. I love this person. I love their culture." And then when they didn't get the role, they were disappointed. And I said, "Good. That disappointment is good, because that now you know where you want to work and
Yep.
where you don't want to work."
Yep.
So, take all the interviews you can get and make sure that it's the right fit for you,
And what
We're running towards the end of
yeah,
the hour, so I want to give Dan an opportunity to just share some last thoughts and advice.
Melissa should be the one
Well,
advising
everyone, they'll all
on
get it.
anything. I mean,
you close it, Dan and Barry.
No, we're
I
all going to
I
go.
would
We're all going to do it.
I have heard because the marketplace is so tough right now. I've met with a bunch of people, unfortunately, in the last few days who have come back around and are not, again, open for roles. And I say this, we all are a little desperate, and what Melissa said, to get to pay the BILL, but make sure the culture makes sense, and make sure as you're going through the process, the way you're treated during the interview and the way you communicate and the way they ask of you is how you're going to be treated day one. Most people don't change very much. So make sure that it's all aligned, because the last thing you want to do is take a role and the role doesn't work out and did all that effort and all that goodwill and all that networking. And then you're like, oops, you got to do it all over again. Explain yourself. So be very careful that it's the right people at the right time in the right situation. Mind you, we do have to pay the bill. So if you have to go in, but make sure that it's something that you truly desire and want, because the last thing you want to do is do this all over again.
Yeah, again, a lot of appreciation for the panel, which I will second. Really appreciate your guys' time here and everyone who chimed in on the chat. Great questions and feedback. Melissa, some last thoughts?
Yeah, keep the faith. It will, everybody who's listening, it will absolutely all work out as long as you keep the faith. Keep all the things we shared, pay it forward, help other people, keep yourself on schedule, all the things that the wise people on this panel shared. And I every one of you has worth and value, and never forget that.
Barry?
Yeah, sure. I want to second everything, not to sound like a kiss up, but it's true. I mean, Dan just said essentially leopards don't change their spots. The way you're going to get treated is the way you're ultimately going to get treated. So be cognizant of it if you're aware of what it is or how you're willing to be treated. I was thinking about the ghosting part real quickly, and it's like those same people won't let you in traffic. So it's it's kind of like who they are, and just that is who they are. But the last thing I want to say quickly is, again, I was in the search business for 50 years only. I would be willing to bet that about half the jobs that I fill, literally, and I wrote about this in my book, are not where the person started in the process. right? They started where they didn't get that job, but 3 months later, hey, Barry, is so and so still available? I really liked him. So, and I'm telling you, I wrote about it. I'm not BSing for this panel. So, to everybody's point, kind of keep the faith. Be the best person you can be all the time. One of my mentors once said, "Not everything can be a revenue event, but everything can be a relationship event." I loathe the term networking and I love the term connecting. Every opportunity you have to connect with somebody in your life and add value to that person in your life will come back to you. Maybe it's a longer game than you want to play, but it's still the truth. So again, Dan has said it in different ways. Melissa certainly has. And Matt's story and my story is a very interesting how we even got together. But it's connection, and I would just urge you to understand that not everything could be a revenue event, but everything could be a relationship event if you treat it as such.
Okay, we're going to find a way to share all of this on my feed in the Open to Work. Again, if you have tips or ideas or thoughts, names, definitely share it with us. Share it with the group. It sounds like this was time well spent. So
thanks, Matt.
Probably do another one. But thanks again to everyone for joining. It's on replay. If you can't find the link for it, let me know so you can watch through it. If you have any questions, I'm as accessible a person as you'll ever meet. Send me an email, a LinkedIn note, and we'll talk to everyone soon. But be positive and help others out. That's all I can say.
Amen. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.